The window for peace has closed. On the 28th, Houthi forces fired a ballistic missile toward the Israeli region of Beersheva. While it was intercepted, that launch was the official confirmation. The Houthis have entered the wider war. To understand why this is so dangerous, you have to look at the existing map. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps already effectively holds the Strait of Hormuz hostage, which handles over 20% of the world's daily oil supply. Now, the Houthis threaten to weaponize a second, equally critical maritime choke point, the Bab al-Mandab Strait in the Red Sea. This outlines the nightmare scenario. If both Hormuz and Bab al-Mandab are sealed simultaneously, 30% of global oil shipments stop dead in the water. Removing nearly a third of the world's oil supply from the market overnight would trigger a massive price shock. This shock radiates through every fuel pump and shipping terminal on the planet. A single warning shot from Yemen has pushed the entire global supply chain to the brink of a catastrophic freeze. Who exactly is holding this economic trigger? The Houthi movement actually began in the early 1990s as a domestic organization called the Believing Youth, running summer camps and focusing on religious education in northern Yemen. This chart breaks down a crucial distinction. While they are allied with Tehran, they aren't a carbon copy of Iranian leadership. Iran follows Twelver Shia Islam, but the Houthis are Zaydi Shias, tracing their distinct religious lineage back to Hassan ibn Ali. The movement turned militant following the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq. Seeing the sudden foreign military presence in the region, the group radicalized, leading anti-American protests across Yemen. Yemen's Sunni president at the time, Ali Abdullah Saleh, saw these protests as a direct threat. In 2004, he attempted a preemptive strike, ordering the arrest of the group's founder. It backfired completely, igniting a brutal 10-year domestic insurgency. The founder, Hussein al-Houthi, was killed by government forces later that year. This provided the movement with a powerful martyr. The insurgency grew so strong that by 2014, Houthi forces marched into Sana'a, Yemen's capital, and established their own parallel government. In a dark twist, President Saleh actually allied with the Houthis to regain his own political power, only for the Houthis to assassinate him in 2017, when they suspected he was quietly negotiating with Saudi Arabia. This is a group that survives aggressive military crackdowns, executes ruthless betrayals, and controls massive territory. They are an unpredictable, battle-hardened wildcard, and right now they are leveraging that combat experience in the Red Sea. By March of 2024, their blockade efforts at Bab al-Mandab had already driven commercial traffic through the Suez Canal down by 70%. Using a stockpile of anti-ship missiles, they successfully targeted 40 commercial vessels in a matter of months. The timing of this blockade collides directly with another massive supply shock. Following targeted Ukrainian drone strikes on its domestic refineries, Russia announced a total halt to its own fuel exports from April to July. As this map shows, Russian oil heading to essential markets in Asia and Africa usually flows right through the Suez Canal and past Yemen. With the Red Sea compromised, those Russian vessels face a massive detour around the entire African continent. That adds up to 15 days of transit time, instantly spiking global freight and insurance costs. Anticipating this logistical nightmare, countries like India rushed to pre-purchase roughly 60 million barrels of Russian oil just to secure their reserves before the shipping lanes closed entirely. The combination of these logistics delays and Russia's supply freeze is expected to drive the price of Brent crude to $150 a barrel, directly funding Moscow's war economy through higher energy costs. The United States, Israel, and allied nations are stuck. They have already deployed standard military retaliation, and it hasn't broken the blockade. Iran holds the high ground here. Tehran keeps the Strait of Hormuz open just enough to maintain leverage, while letting the Houthis absorb the international retaliation in the Red Sea. It's a strategic trap. If Western navies escalate with direct military intervention in Yemen, they risk triggering the exact blockade they are trying to prevent. The Houthi leadership has laid out their terms explicitly. If European forces from France or Britain arrive to actively assist the U.S. military, Houthi forces will completely choke the Red Sea. The traditional superpower playbook relies on overwhelming force to guarantee free trade. Here, that force has simply created a heavily armed, unbreakable deadlock. A decentralized, localized insurgency in Yemen has found a way to paralyze a multi-trillion-dollar shipping network with a handful of targeted strikes. The machinery of the modern global economy is currently being held hostage by a militant faction that started as a youth organization in Yemen. The countdown has already started. The ballistic missile fired at Beersheva proves they are willing to escalate beyond maritime harassment. Iranian posturing in the east, Russian economic strategy in the north, and hardened Houthi militancy converge into one massive threat to global logistics. This geographical standoff in a small Middle Eastern strait is already projecting higher costs into the global supply chain and eventually impacts your own bank account.